Hey guys, welcome to another Texas Bolt Action Battle Report. Sorry it's been so long again, but you know, life just kind of gets in the way. But I have a really exciting Eastern Front battle set up for you guys today. I'm here with Kevin, who you will recall from quite a few videos now. You're kind of becoming a regular on the cast. But yeah, Kevin is going to be playing as the Germans today in sort of an Operation Barbarossa type battle. We're just going to be playing a simple game of attrition. So he's just going to be trying to kill as many of the Asiatic hordes as he can, and the Russians will be trying to do the same in kind. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what Kevin is rolling with. He has a regular first lieutenant, as well as a regular artillery spotter in his command. There's a regular medium mortar. He's got one veteran squad of Waffen-SS, who I know are in their camouflage, but that's the only models I have at the moment. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 regular squads that are going to be supporting the vets. And the Waffen-SS have 2 medium machine guns in their squad, which is going to be able to lay down some pretty good firepower. There's a regular half-track, as well as a Panzer III and an Opel Blitz truck. So he's got a little bit of transport there. And I'm going to move around here to the other side of this rural Russian village and show you what the Russians have. Now the Russians are going to be all about numbers today. We've got an inexperienced commissar, as well as an inexperienced first lieutenant. He's going to be backed up by a couple of regular medium machine gun or light machine gun squads with the typewriter machine gun. I've got a regular medium mortar, 2 regular guard squads, or actually NKVD squads, since I took from the Barbarossa selector, and then I've got 2 inexperienced rifle squads, one of them being the free squad. And then I've also got a squad of regular cavalry. They're going to be backed up by post-World War I's finest technology, the T-28 with the light howitzer, and then there'll be a couple of trucks over here for transport. So they're going to be clashing over this farm, and the goal is just to kill as many of the other team as you can. So we're going to go ahead and do deployment, and we will come back when we have everything set up. So stay tuned. All right, guys. We've decided to do a war or attrition type scenario. So what we're actually going to do for this is we're just going to put our forces. We nominated a first wave, and we put everybody else in reserve. So we'll just go ahead and play turn 1, get everybody on the board, and let you know what happens. So stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back after turn 1, and things definitely happened. First thing that happened, first people to arrive on the field at this bombed-out Russian farm were the Russians themselves. They arrived in 2 trucks. One of them ran up here, and that was actually the first one, and it's got an inexperienced squad as well as a commissar inside of it, but they were unable to get out because the truck is still moving. This truck moved up the road and unloaded its inexperienced rifle squad just in time to get up behind that building before this Panzer III appeared, followed by the half-track. Panzer III promptly fired at the truck and knocked it right out of the game, and it blocked the road. The Soviet T-28 moved onto the table, and I thought about having it engage the side armor of that Panzer III from over here. But I decided it's not really going to win in a tank-on-tank engagement, and where it's really going to shine is against some infantry. So I've moved it onto the table over here. So it's going to hopefully be able to get up around that flank, and any kind of infantry that shows up on this table edge will be in its machine gun fire. Meanwhile, Kevin moved, he did several things that are significant. He got the SS out of this half track, moved up to this farmhouse, so they're kind of out of view of my mortar, which also moved on the table. We forgot to place our spotters and our observers at the beginning of the game, so we decided it would be okay to just go ahead and do it really quickly. So I placed my spotter right there, and Kevin placed his artillery spotter as well as his mortar spotter in this wood overlooking this. They have a pretty good view of the field. And he placed his mortar back here behind this wood so that he can't really be spotted by any of the other stuff. So that's pretty smart. Especially for the Germans who have inferior numbers, they definitely want to be in places where they're not going to take a lot of fire until they're ready. And then he moved one regular squad up into this wood, and that squad did see the inexperienced squad behind that shed over there, and they did open fire, and they pinned them and killed one man. So that's where the battle sits for the time being. So we're going to go ahead and play turn 2, where we get to bring on our reserves. Actually, what we're going to do before that is we're going to decide the artillery strike and see what happens there. He placed the artillery marker right in the center of the main thrust of these Soviet forces here in the first wave. So yeah, he observed them right through that alley there and saw a nice spot there to call in the German artillery. So we're going to find out if that comes in, what happens. If it does come in, we'll show you that, and if it doesn't, we'll just go ahead and play turn 2 and keep going. All right, so stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back after turn 2. Artillery bombardment did not come in, so we had to wait, and that marker was moved this turn. It's now even closer to the German lines than it was before, right on top of those inexperienced troops that, as you can see, have made their way up into that cover. They took shots at squad over there in the woods, managed to kill one man, I think, and not much else, but they also withered an astounding amount of fire. This squad did take a pin and lose a man, as well as this squad here, from supporting fire from the tank, which actually used its main gun but missed. But the machine guns were able to pick people off, as well as fire from the woods. A second squad was brought up here to the side, but as you can see, they met a horrible fate as the T-28 did find its way around to catch them in the open with its light howitzer and completely knock them out. Hey, dude. So we've got some regular troops moving up the way here to support the inexperienced troops. The truck has just kind of pulled around to kind of hide itself. And then meanwhile over here, the Soviet waves have just started to flood onto the table to kind of open up the battle a little bit, taking shots at this veteran squad, which was positioned behind this house, but that is now, they've moved out to be able to take more shots. This squad did lose a man and take a pin. That pin was removed, though. It's hard to get that out of here. Yeah, so the Soviets are just kind of pushing on this flank, trying to deny the Germans as much ground as possible. Still no sign of the Soviet cavalry, which were putting outflank. They'll be on the next turn, more than likely. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and play turn 3, and well, actually, yeah, we're gonna see if the off map comes in. But if it doesn't, then we'll play turn 3. If it does, we'll let you know how it plays out. So stay tuned. guys, we are back after the end of turn 3. Still no artillery strike. Still burning wreckage of a truck over there. The dust has settled over here, leaving this one squad completely decimated. The inexperienced troops have been taking shots pretty systematically at this squad over here in the trees. Did manage to get another pin on them and whittle them down. They managed to fire back in turn. This squad has taken 2 pins so far and a casualty to combined fire from the half-track over here, as well as the tanks, machine gun, and the squad over here in the woods. Meanwhile, the squad in the woods did take fire from the T-28, but they decided to go down to avoid the same fate as their friends over here, which was probably a good idea because they ended up not getting hit at all by any of the machine guns or the howitzer on the T-28. T-28 took a fire from the Panzer III over here that advanced and fired its main gun, but missed. Needed a 6 to hit it. Couldn't get it. Meanwhile, we've got some regular troops that are just moving up to try and provide some relief to the inexperienced troops over here in these ruins. And over here, we've got another German squad that's moved up to help support this Waffen-SS squad. Waffen-SS squad ended up going down because it was taking some pretty accurate fire from this squad over here in the woods. So that's kind of where that's at. German mortar tried to drop around on the inexperienced squad over there, didn't get it again, so they now need a 4 to hit. And the Russian mortar tried to hit that same squad in the woods over there that it's been trying to hit, and it also missed. So, meanwhile, 2 squads of Russian regulars, the NKVD squads, have moved up and all taken shots at the Waffen-SS. Did manage to kill one of them, I don't recall what squad it was, but one of these squads did manage to put a pin on them and take a casualty out. And actually that casualty was it was an exceptional hit, so it was the MMG, one of the MMGs that came out of there. And meanwhile, this squad right here, or the officer team, has moved up to support the NKVD squads against the wall. And that's pretty much it. The only unit that, Kevin had the units in the Opel Blitz along with their officer who still have not arrived. And the Russian cavalry revealed their outflank, but also failed to arrive. So now Kevin knows where they're coming from, but when I say they revealed it, I mean I accidentally revealed it. So Kevin knows where they're coming from, but the question is when. One other significant thing that happened is the command team, the spotter in the woods, decided to just completely shift the focus of the artillery battery and put it right here in the middle of all of these juicy looking regular troops. So we're going to go ahead and see if that comes in. If it does, we'll show you what happens. If not, we're just going to play the next turn. So stay tuned. All right, guys. Well, we are coming in after what might be the most disappointing artillery strike ever. The artillery strike definitely came in. Did not manage to kill a single of these units over here. Got 1 pin on this NKVD squad, 2 pins on this squad, 2 pins on the officer, which he should hopefully is able to activate or to shrug off, and then 1 pin on the mortar team here. So we're going to go ahead and carry on with turn 4, and we will let you know what happens. So stay tuned. All right, guys, we're back after the end of turn 4, and as you can see, there's a lot going on here. But I'm going to start over here because this has been a pretty surprisingly disappointing turn for the Russians. Actually, I tell you what, where it really needs to begin is over here. So first thing that happened was the T-28 did find another squad in their sights, did take them out. So that's another German squad eliminated. However, and it actually reversed to do that, which put it out of view of the Panzer III. The Panzer III, however, used its main gun on the soldiers here as well as its machine gun, and managed to kill everybody, or they had to flee the field, so they're no longer there. And then the mortar scored a direct hit on the inexperienced squad there, killed 4 of their squad, which put them down to half strength, and they were also unable to pass their orders test, even with their special rules. So they have also been completely decimated. So as you can see, this zone over here has just been it's just been ugly. There's just been artillery and all kinds of stuff coming down. However, the regular machine gun squad has kind of pulled up to the ruins alongside of it in order to kind of fill in the gaps there. But that also puts them kind of out of the way of killing anybody over here, really. Meanwhile, the cavalry charged onto the field to find all the Germans dead, but they totally missed the spotter team over here, who fired 2 rifles into the cavalry and straight up killed 2 cavalry members, or 2 riflemen. So that's 2 horses down. So anyway, yeah, that side of the table is not going well for the Russians. And over here, the officer tried to do a U-men snap too, but he foobarred and ended up running or fleeing the field. So he doesn't have the commissar behind him telling him what to do, so he got out of there. Meanwhile, the mortar had to find a new target. It shows the Waffen-SS squad over here, missed. The only squad that really did anything was this squad that moved up out of its barricades and attacked this squad, the SS squad, fired on them, and got them whittled down to, looks like, 4 guys. The Waffen-SS squad fired on this squad right here earlier and didn't really do anything to them. And this squad moved up and fired at the squad on the street, put another pin on them, and killed 1 man, so they're getting whittled down. This squad over here is still laying down good kind of like long-range fire on the SS, keep continuing to put pins on them. And this squad was going to assault the half-track, but they failed their orders test, and they also went down because they no longer had their officer there to help them. So it's just looking pretty bad all around for the Russians. I still have the numbers, but it looks like the Germans may have a placement advantage at this point due to some questionable decision-making by the Russian commander. But the truck, Kevin still has a truck with an officer and a squad that has not arrived. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and play turn 5, and we'll let you know what happens. So stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back after the end of turn 5. Cavalry tried to activate, but since they took those 2 casualties last turn and they were so flustered, they weren't able to pass the morale test. So the horses are just freaking out over here in chaos at the sight of all these dead Germans, which allowed the tank to swing around and use its main gun and its machine guns on them. The main gun missed, machine gun killed 1, and then the rifles in here fired again. Took out another one. So the cavalry is just really getting whittled down and has not been much use this entire game, and may end up costing the game because they're just in such a bad place right now. Meanwhile, the regulars moved up into the ruins to try and take shots at the spotters, but definitely missed the spotters there as they were hidden in the trees. The tank realized that it was doing no good out here on the flank, and it swung around and it's moved over here, but it's exposed its side armor to the Panzer III over here, which might, if it gets first dipole, take an opportune shot and might hit the tank, although it will get hard cover from that woodshed over there. Meanwhile, Kevin's reinforcements did make it on. This squad tried to activate a second ago, but ended up having to just go down. It actually took, I'm sorry, I take that back, it took fire from this half-track and ended up going down because it could not, because it didn't want the half-track to hit it, but the half-track didn't hit it anyway, it wouldn't have hit it, so it ended up being a waste for them to go down. Meanwhile, the SS tried to pass a orders test after taking lots of fire, and Fubard, so they have now retreated, which may work out in their favor anyway, as they're no longer eligible targets. This squad moved up to take shots at this squad, which actually, before I tell you that, I should tell you that this squad fell back into these ruins and took more shots at the Waffen-SS, killed a couple of them, put a pin on them. This squad moved up to return fire, but they didn't really cause much damage, and they forgot about the squad over here that was kind of covering them with the medium, or with the light machine gun. So they were able to whittle down that squad and put a pin on them. So that squad's down to 4 men with a pin. This squad jumped out of the truck with their officer. They all took shots at the squad, but the squad was down, so they didn't get any hits. The mortar fired at the SS squad that has now moved. They missed. The squad's moved, so that's good there. The German mortar fired at the tank, but missed. So that's pretty much the brunt of what's happened. The officer did kind of like have I guess his underling was probably able to harangue him and get him to run up to the front again, shedding a pin and coming back to help his stranded men over here. So hopefully he's able to get them to help cause some damage. All right, so we are going to play the final turn of this game, turn 6. What's the score right now, Kevin?
3 dice have been killed for Russia, and 2 dice have been killed for Germany.
Oh, so Germany right now has the lead on Russia, 3 dice out. So Russia's got some work to do if it hopes to win this game. So we're going to go ahead and play the next turn, and we will let you know what happens. So stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back after the end of the final turn, turn 6. And as you can see, there aren't very many Germans on the field. I'm looking over here at a squad of very successful Russian NKVD who assaulted Kevin's regulars that were over here and took them out. And this other squad inside of the house took out the other regular squad that was right there. That forced the truck to pull back next to the SS, who are essentially all fleeing the field. Meanwhile, we've got the officer here who swung around and tried to kill this commissar, but didn't manage to hit him. And he was actually fired at by these officers over here, and they also missed, so no good there. But unfortunately, modern warfare caught up to this cavalry, and they are now fleeing the field after being completely decimated by this tank's main gun, failing a morale test, being able to not stay around after the horses just completely freaked out. This squad in here looked like they might be able to assault the tank, but not before the tank's hull-mounted machine gun just completely knocked him down, supported by the machine gun from the half-track and the artillery observer team that has now just become a 2-man rifle team. That's who the commissar was trying to hit, but he was unable to do so. So this squad then was unable to pass an orders test, and they just went down. So sorry, that's all kind of confusing, but basically what you need to know is this squad got shot to the point that it ended up going down, and the cavalry ended up being decimated by the tank. So that's too bad. But meanwhile, over here, the Russians fared a little bit better. With these successful assaults, they were able to clean out most of the Germans, and stray artillery shell put that cow up into a tree. And this squad was able to help pin this squad. One of the reasons that these NKVD troops were able to assault the German regulars over here was that they decided to go down after being fired upon from these woods. So these guys really did a decent amount of work this game, keeping people pinned and keeping them from pushing up too far from long range. Mortar took a shot at the cluster of vehicles over there, but missed. The Russian tank also kind of anticlimactically fired at the squad over here, causing them to go down, which also allowed that other squad to assault them, but not really killing anyone. Its main gun was fired at the half-track when the half-track was sitting there. It also missed. So that is pretty much how the game has gone down. The fight for this tiny, inconsequential Russian rural farm village here. But the score, Kevin, what's the score?
4-4.
4-4. So we're calling this game a complete draw. So the Russians, I feel like a draw is actually a loss in the end for the Germans who are trying to break through to Moscow. So yeah, I think.
Good spin.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what we'll deliver to the War Office. That's the final story that we'll deliver to the propaganda office. So anyway, thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm sorry, I know it was a little bit of a haphazard video. But I just I play to have fun, and I don't always remember exactly what happened. And I know a lot of you have asked if I could film the turns, and if this thing gets bigger and people and I'm able to take it a little more seriously, and find somebody to help me film while I play, we might come look at doing something like that. But in the meantime, I just kind of play, just to have fun with friends like you guys do. But anyway, yeah. Thank you for watching, and be sure to check out the Texas Bolt Action Facebook group and say hi. Hope you have a great day. Thanks.